Can we just take a moment to show you like what's happening down here? She's like, I really want you guys to be able to tell my story. So I'm gonna take a little nap so that you can do that. Hey, I'm so rusty. So it's been a really long time since we've made a video, but we had a baby a few months ago and we want to share the story of how she was born, because when I was pregnant, that was something that I just really enjoyed doing, was watching other positive videos, positive birthing videos, and positive stories about how everything unfolded. And so let's just get into it. So the day before, we both went and we got full body massages, and I did. Really? Yeah. And I remember being on the massage table and just thinking, oh, I'm gonna have to call Kevin, like, because you were right next door to me. I was thinking I was gonna go into labor on the massage table, but I didn't. But I did have, oh, the way I described them was tightenings. So I had light tightenings on the massage table. I'm gonna keep looking at my notes on my phone. The sensations got more consistent that night, and it just was so different from the first time around, because our first baby, I remember I just woke up in the middle of the night and I felt like something just hit me, like it was like a clap of thunder, and that was the first surge. The first surge just was so strong. Do you remember that? And I was just like, oh, it's happening. And this time I just like felt it slowly sort of come up from nothing. So I'm pretty sure this is nothing, but it is July 28th. My due date is July 3rd. And just sort of started, like, noticed through dinner that my stomach was like tightening and releasing. No, like hardly any discomfort, but at the end of the meal I realized, oh, that happened quite a few times. They're so light and almost just kind of feel like the baby's moving. So we'll see. So it was so calm that right after dinner I started timing, and I used the Freya app, F-R-E-Y-A, which is a great app, especially if you're doing hypnobirthing, because in between the surges and during the surges you have the hypnobirthing recordings playing as you're timing. So it's really nice. Everything's right there in that one app. And so that's when I called the doula. The last two that I had, I'm like, okay, that's definitely not her moving. It's definitely not like around ligament pain. It's definitely like tightening and almost like pulling up a little bit.
Okay.
And it's, yeah, but it's so chill.
But I would say in the beginning now, if you can, you and Kevin, just go to your room and then cuddles and kisses and touching, and really rest, because it might be that kicks off later tonight or in 2 hours or early morning or tomorrow midday. We don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's important that you rest, and then
okay.
It's happening, yeah.
Like, if this is what it's like.
It's not.
It's definitely more intense than the first one. More intense than the last one I just had. It's super chill. Okay. 33 seconds. 5 minutes apart. What's going on?
We're having a baby.
It was so different this time, and the big difference was just knowing that I had time, like not being in a rush. So we hadn't finished packing for the hospital, so I took some time to finish packing the hospital bag, and then I straightened my hair.
So Ross, we went out for 2 years and you never told me you were in an on-date rape club.
You went out with her?
It's very good for my oxytocin levels.
What's that?
Friends on in the background.
Then why did it have the word eternity in it?
I was sitting next to Millie and smelling her arm.
Monica, did you
Doing my
know
hair.
about this? I swear I didn't.
And your husband around, or?
My husband.
Husband long gone walking the dogs, is that?
That would have really boosted the levels.
Look beautiful, look at you. Love you too. Is it? Might not be. And don't, it's okay if it's not.
did you do?
I had a big cry to Mom about leaving Millie.
Oh, come on. Well, just take off your shirt.
Why?
He's so guilty and bad. She doesn't know her whole life is about to change. She was sitting there so peacefully and calmly watching her show.
The good news is, no matter what, she always has Paw Patrol.
And Guava.
And Guava.
We also made sure to spend time with Millie. Normally one of us puts her to bed, and that night we both laid in bed with her and read stories together.
And talked about what was going to happen. And
Yeah. Later that night, the owners of the cottage came back. They were 7 dwarfs.
One glasses, 2 glasses, 2 glasses. What's his name?
His name is Sleepy.
What's his name?
His name is Grumpy.
What's his name?
That one is Blue Hat.
No, what's his name?
His name is Beardy.
What's his name?
Harry.
His name is Jeeves. You know, Millie. Baby Ellora's gonna come really soon. Okay? Where does Mommy have to go to take Baby Ellora out?
Hospital.
Yeah. Is Mommy gonna come back soon? Yeah? And who's gonna take care of Millie? Who's gonna come and take care of Millie when Mommy and Daddy go?
Nanny and Pisakun and Puppy.
Good girl.
she was really excited. I think, right?
Yeah. Okay, so getting back to the night, I remember sleeping on and off through the night, but it was mostly just, I was mostly sleeping, but every now and then I would kind of wake up and just be aware that, oh, I'm having another one. Okay, I'm having another one. So that went on until about 5:30 a.m., which is when I woke up with a surge. And then I had 2 more, I think about like 6 minutes apart or something, 5 minutes apart. Do you like this story? And then I had 2 more, and then by the time I had the 4th one, which must have been a little before 6 a.m., by the time I had the 4th one, I woke Kevin up, and I said, I think we need to start getting ready to go.
I remember feeling the first time, well, in hindsight, that it was like really disorienting to wake up and like be like trying to pack the car and talking, or is it time to go? Should we go now? Should we not go? I remember having that full night of sleep was really, really helpful.
Yeah.
Because I think both of us felt sort of charged.
Yeah. Even though it wasn't the best night's sleep, I think what really helped with my labor is that Kevin was really well rested. So he fully had the energy to help me through every single surge. So that was really great.
She's falling asleep.
And then Millie wasn't awake yet, but what was getting me really emotional was the idea that we had to leave her. So we finally, like, we're sort of packing and getting ready, and she woke up by herself, and then she came out, and she, that's when we were sort of explaining to her that I was about to go.
Who's coming?
Ellora.
Your sister.
Millie's sister's coming today.
Or maybe tomorrow.
There she is. Come.
Yeah.
That's why Mommy and Daddy are gonna go to the hospital, okay?
Can I come?
Yeah. When baby Ellora comes out, Nanny's gonna bring you. And you're gonna come. Okay? See? Touch her. She's getting ready. You wanna touch her? She says, I'm ready. I'm all grown up. I'm ready to come out and see my sister. You're so sleepy still, huh? You woke up early today. You know, and I was having a harder time towards the end of my pregnancy because I was really feeling like I could do less for her, you know, and so I think that was like mixed in with the emotion. And so just knowing that we were about to leave her was really tough. So, okay. Do you feel better? Okay, so my surges as we're packing, as we're getting ready to go, as we're saying bye to her, they were closer together, they were more intense. And then I do remember like feeling at one point just be like, okay, we gotta go. I'm like saying that to everybody. Let's get in the car, we gotta go. So the car ride was really hard, but it was a lot shorter than expected. We were expecting the ride to take between an hour and an hour and a half because it's all the way downtown and there's always traffic in Bangkok, but it took 27 minutes. And that was part of the reason that I think, you know, we sort of had this sort of itch to get on the road really soon, because we knew like it was about 6:30 a.m. and the closer you get to 8, the more traffic there would be. So we got on the road at a time when there was 0 traffic. It was perfect. We're on our way to the hospital.
Everything softened.
How do you feel?
Good, really good. Relaxed.
I keep telling myself I only have to do 4 more surges in the car. I can do that 4 more times. They're getting closer together. And I have been drinking coconut water.
Already much more than you drank during the first pregnancy.
Already much more. It's definitely going faster.
Yeah?
Yeah, like they're getting...
Sorry.
Being in a car during a surge sucks.
Walking on the freeway.
See, like that was pretty close, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Called the doctor, called the doula. I'm gonna call the doula again, actually. I told her I'd call her when we were in the car. But yeah, we're going into labor. The hardest part was saying bye to Millie. I tried to not cry in front of her and be really chill about the goodbye, but she kept saying, can I come too? And that broke my heart. That's why I wish we were having a home birth so she could be there, because it's really hard to be away from her right now. Like everything in me just wants to be with her. Okay. So we got to the valet in the hospital, and I actually was able to call my doctor beforehand, and she said there was no need to go to the emergency room, which is normally what you do. You go straight to the emergency room and they check you in, and then they send you up to the maternity ward. Maternity ward? Is that what it's called? Newborn place?
Delivery?
Delivery ward.
I don't know.
I don't know. But my doctor said there's no need, just come right up to your room. So that was really nice. We got to just park at valet, which we were very familiar with, and I got out of the car and there was a big pillar right there in the parking lot, and I went and I held onto a pillar and I like bent down. I wish we had a picture or footage of that, because everybody was staring at me like I was a crazy person, and I had a surge there in the parking lot. Then we walked...
Like 4 people say, like, do you want a wheelchair?
Yeah.
Do you want a wheelchair?
No, I do not want to sit down at all. Then walked into the hospital, around the corner to the elevator. I had a surge before we got in the elevator. Then in the elevator, I was like, please don't let me have one. Do you remember me saying that to you? Please don't let me have a surge in here. Please don't let me have one in here. We got out and I immediately had one there. So I bent, every time I had one, I had to bend down onto the floor, like crouch down. That just felt best. And I would like sort of hold your hands and crouch down. And then we had one right outside the delivery ward, whatever it's called. And then we got into the room. And that sort of felt like, ooh, change of scene, change of zone, change of everything, change of pace. So we have this, it's really cool. We have this timeline that Kevin made like as soon as we delivered the baby. And we also have a timeline, yeah, so there it is. It's like, we also have a timeline from our doula. So very different from last time. We have exactly like what time everything happened.
That's a really good thing. That day, that was really, and this has very little to do with the natural birth or whatever, but
yeah.
Like I remember thinking, there's no way I'm gonna forget this when Millie was born, and then realizing that I didn't forget things, but I think that definitely when we retell Millie's birth story, it's not nearly as
precise.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, and it was, my doula talked about just being careful about, you know, reviewing the birth too soon after and making sure that the mother has time to just remember how it felt rather than watch the footage back and everything. But we definitely were mindful of that, but it was really nice afterwards to talk through it. I think because we were just so happy, and it was like almost a celebration. Like you just had a really good sports game and you wanted to like relive all of the moves that you made. So it was like, it was really nice right after to just go through all the things in the timeline.
Definitely the doula was amazing for a lot of reasons. And one of them was the number of things that she did that just alleviated pressure. Either for you with massaging or for me with like providing certain things, or even like little touches like a peppermint scent after you threw out, like stuff that just like, not that all doulas would necessarily do that, but
just
ours
increased
was
comfort.
pretty amazing. But yeah, the idea that like reinforcing that message is a natural thing. This happens. Like it was just a very calming presence. Somebody
so knowledgeable telling you that everything's okay goes a long way, you know.
Somebody who has so much experience with that. I think that's it, right? Like with many things, if you're striving to have a certain type of birth, which again, like you have the birth that works for your family, but it's good to have mentors who can help guide you through it.
Yeah.
Somebody who's experienced it, somebody who knows what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
so fully worth it for us to get a doula and to have that kind of support. So I remember feeling like very uncomfortable on the floor. I had pictured in my head that our birth was going to be in water, even though I knew I was not going to have a water birth and I wasn't allowed to have a water birth in this hospital. But you know, that vision, I just pictured it was going to be in the water. And so I was getting more restless and more uncomfortable and feeling like I needed a change. I knew I didn't have the stamina to keep going on the floor in the way that we were going. And so I asked to go and labor in the bathtub a little bit. So my doula was like setting up the water, and that was nice too because she knew what temperature it had to be and everything. Whereas the first time I labored in the tub for a really long time and it was probably way too hot. And
no, it was way too hot.
It was way too hot. And nobody was like checking the water. Nobody was maintaining the water. So the doula set up the water. The nurse was also checking the temperature of the water, which was really nice. And then I went in and the water was incredible. Incredible. Like it's just such a powerful pain reliever.
Doesn't feel too bad. It feels good.
So. I remember at that point I started saying, and I always do this when I get in the water, I started saying, she's coming soon, I can feel it, she's coming soon. And I was like sneakily thinking in my own head, I'm gonna have her in this tub. Like, we're gonna do this in this tub, even though it's not allowed in this hospital. But I think my doula could tell that my contractions had chilled out a lot. And so what she wanted me to do was every time I would get a surge, she wanted me to get upright and squat to kind of intensify the surge.
It's a funny like paradox,
Oh.
right? Like, or a contradiction, right? Like the idea that like, in order to have the baby, you have to be really uncomfortable in some extent,
Yeah,
right? Like you
yeah.
have to be having like
Intense.
more intensity.
Yeah.
Yet the only thing you want in that moment is comfort.
Yeah.
And like a lack of intensity.
Yeah.
And so it's a funny like.
Well, add to that the fact that you're supposed to be relaxed through birth, because if you're tense, then then it's the wrong kind of pain.
Right. If it's like a forced intensity.
Yeah, yeah.
No, it's really interesting.
And I really wouldn't describe what I was going through as pain. Like, it was pressure and intensity, but it wasn't pain like when you get hurt, you know? So that was really helpful with my mindset, was this isn't pain, this is pressure, and every surge is bringing my baby closer to me.
Having little mantras like that is big.
Yeah.
Like little things
The affirmations.
Little
Yeah.
affirmations, little things that you can just store in your back pocket and know that, yep, that's another big one. That means my baby's coming.
Right, yeah. I always do a little kick right before a surge.
And then when you know you're waiting to see a surges, what did you feel the most?
My back. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Sometimes you feel on the back.
So I got into the tub at 8:30 and I got out at 9:15. So about 45 minutes.
Reluctantly.
Yeah, I did not want to get out. For 45 minutes, Kevin was holding my hands and feeding me water, and my doula was pouring warm water all over my back. It was the best feeling ever. Every time that warm water would pour, I mean, it was just like so amazing. I did not want to get out, but oh, there's our food. Hello?
You feel more pressure.
When you do that side, on both sides. I had both my knees up. Walk around. Make it out.
So we went back to the mat and I sat on the exercise ball so that I could be more upright, because I was really like not wanting to be upright. And I think that's pretty common, that like you just want to be in a position that's really comfortable, and you're so tired like physically that you just want to be in a position where when the surge is over, you don't have to move and you can just close your eyes and rest. And so I really liked being like on my hands and knees.
Or
really
like
liked
leaning
that.
on the ball.
Yeah, or leaning on the ball, because when the surge was done, I didn't have to move, right? I was about to have my second cervical check by the doctor, which I didn't intend on doing, but I just thought, okay, like why not? Like the doctor's asking if I want it, and I could just show her how much I progressed. I get this second check.
9:30.
Remember
It
it?
was 9:30. Yeah.
Yeah.
You were sort of like leaning back.
Yeah,
right?
I just kind of sat back like this on the mat, and second check by the doctor this time, 7 centimeters. And I was leaning back like this, and then I remember after she said 7 centimeters, I just sat forward like this, and I just sat down, and I just looked down, and I was like so gutted. I was so sad. I wish I didn't do that check, because it just destroyed me in that moment. I just thought all this for nothing, and all these surgeons didn't do anything.
Our doula kept saying that like second labor, like you can't rely on that nearly as much as and not that you want to rely on your first labor, but in the second labor you just can't rely on that. Like you can progress so fast.
Yeah.
That's what she kept saying. She kept repeating that.
So 9:30 was my second cervical check. 9:35 my waters broke. So I'm sitting back like this. I sit forward. I'm so sad. I'm like really in this zone of just being this is gonna go on forever in my head. Like I'm of course quiet as anything. My doula said it was so funny. I was just still and quiet, and my face was so sad. And then 9:35, Kevin's like, babe, maybe we should get up and start walking around on the floor. You know, we can go outside and go for a walk. And I just whispered really quietly to him, my water just broke. He's like, it's broken all over his feet, all over my feet, and he didn't even
I
realize.
had no idea. I looked down and I was like, oh, yes, they did.
Yeah.
They surely did.
I just like whispered it to him.
You got hiccups? You got hiccups?
After my waters broke, I think there was like a pretty chill period of continuing to have surges.
And that lasted for about an hour.
Yeah.
There was a really sort of like just continuous
calm.
And actually in our footage, of all the footage we have, like this is the biggest chunk of footage we have is this just sort of like hour of calm but consistent pressure, intensity, slowly increasing.
Yeah. And just I felt
the crescendo.
Yeah, and that must have been my journey from like 7 up to being fully dilated, was that hour.
In the love I bear to thee, oh my Lord, my heart longeth for thee with a longing such as no heart hath known. In the love I bear to thee, oh my Lord, my heart longeth for thee with a longing such as no heart hath known. Here am I, with my body between thy hands and my spirit before thy face. In the love I bear to thee, in the love I bear, 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 in the love I bear.
She's there. She's there.
In the love I bear.
She's
In the
coming.
love I bear.
Wait.
In the love I bear. 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 In the love I bear to thee. Oh,
We did it.
my heart longeth for thee with a longing such as no
Oh, you look like your sister.
hath
There you are.
love I bear to
Oh, goodness. Oh. Wait, are we...
Did you let all the blood stop?
Stop pulsing already? Okay. You ready, baby girl? Okay. First sign of baby's hair was 11:15, and 11:15 is when she comes out.
So 15 minutes. Yeah, 15 minutes of just birthing her down. And when she came out, unlike Millie, she came out with a ton of water. A ton of my waters. Like, I remember having this is the biggest release ever. Like, it's just such a cool feeling. Like, the body coming out and then gush of water coming out with her. And I'll let you describe what was happening for you in that moment, because that was pretty intense for you. But for me, I just remember, oh, what a relief, what a release. It's just so much, like, such a great feeling. And then turning around and picking up this very, very slippery, wet baby, because she just had all this like water all over her.
Just
but meanwhile for you,
like a baby seal.
Yeah, she was so wet. But you were going through something else.
No, I was definitely panicky. So it's funny, when we first did our first course, I had one fear, and my fear had to do with the umbilical cord. So when Ellora came out, it was really, for me, it was terrifying, because her head came out, and when the rest of her body came out, she sort of, it almost seemed like she tumbled to the ground. The doctor was there, but like it happened very, very quickly. Mm-hmm. And right away the doctor says,
the cord.
And of course, like, when I hear that, like, I was like looking and trying to figure it out, and the nurse, interestingly, picked up Ellora by her legs. And you
like that very old school, like, where they would pick up a baby and slap the butt.
Yeah, and you could see like the cord wrapped around her neck and then sort of connected to the area. And so
the reason I had no idea what was going on is because I was on my hands and knees, so this was all happening behind me, so I didn't even know. Yeah,
and so I'm immediately, my eyes go bug-eyed, and I'm just looking like, what is happening here? And so the doctor quickly unwraps the cord. Come to find out, like, it's actually quite common for that to happen. And it's not like every birth, but like that's a fairly normal thing.
But in the footage, like, you can see Kevin is just like panicked. Like, I didn't even know it was an issue or that it was anything until I watched it back later, and I was like, Kevin, like, you're freaking out in this part.
Yeah, like, I had a really hard time enjoying the moment that Ellora was born.
He kept asking everybody,
because
is this
I would
okay?
look at the doula and I would look at the doctor, and they would all be like, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. And I'm just like, can somebody give me more than it's fine? But in a way that's discreet, so I'm not interrupting like this her moment. Like,
because she has no idea what's going on.
I'm freaking out internally. Can somebody please communicate with me what's happening?
But you got nothing.
I got nothing. It was fine.
And then you found out it was fine.
And then I found out it was fine.
So I turn around, we have this very slippery, super cute baby in our arms. Right away we noticed that she looked exactly like Millie. Like, we make one kind of baby and they look like this. And I remember, like, so I had that adrenaline rush and I was holding her and just, oh, my baby, and
which was exactly like Millie's birth, like the exact same. Actually, I think it was like the same like intonation and almost the same words. I would be willing to bet, like, I think, my baby. I remember that
with like a shaky voice. So Kevin was just talking about his fear. My greatest fear was to do with the placenta delivery, because in my first birth, the placenta it had been an hour and a half and the placenta wasn't coming out. And so I ended up having to go under general anesthesia the first time and have the placenta manually removed, which is, it's like not fun and not a great thing at all. So basically I put Ellora on the floor and I just get up with these like dangling scissors and I go walk to the bed and I'm like, somebody just like help me not feel this way right now. I felt terrible. And Kevin has to pick Ellora up, so he's holding her like way before he's mentally
passed her to
before he's
and I'm still wondering, like, what's going on with this umbilical cord. I'm still like looking around like, can somebody give me a response? So I'm like holding my baby really happy, like,
is she okay? So I get to the hospital bed and I'm just like sitting in the bed and they're cleaning my legs because there's like poo everywhere, people. Like, you poo, okay? There's so much poo all over.
I feel like this is the first time you're actually acknowledging that.
Yeah. I mean, like, you're just pushing. So how is poo not going to come out?
I remember after Millie, and definitely after Ellora, but definitely, like, for sure after Melly, like, in a very, very odd way, I felt so much closer to you.
Yeah.
Partly because of how much I saw.
Yeah, you saw everything. I was like in the bed and I told my doula, I was like, I think I want to birth my placenta. And here I am thinking, yeah, but it's probably not going to happen. I'm probably going to get rushed to the surgery room again. So I
definitely did not think that when you tossed this baby on the floor.
You're like, what is going on? I didn't toss her. I gently placed her onto a mat.
Sure.
So I turned around in the bed and I realized that my body was getting ready to birth this placenta. So what's really cool, and this is like, this gives the doula like an MVP award in my book.
And you sniffed Ellora's head
I was
twice.
gonna say that. It's like the doula whispered to you, bring Ellora over and let Tahiri smell her hair. He brought her over, I smelled her hair, I had a really intense surge, and then it was just like plop, and then you hear the loud noise.
Nice job, babe.
So wow, like who would have thought that just smelling those pheromones from your new baby really help you to birth your placenta? It's just so cool, you guys. So how many hours was it all together?
From the moment we got to the hospital, which was 7, it was 4 hours and 15 minutes.
Just so crazy. But so after I birthed the placenta, I turned back around and they like cleaned my legs and they checked me to see if I had any tearing, and I had a minimal laceration. She said it was so small, it didn't need any stitches and hardly felt like anything, and it healed really quickly. We were able to breastfeed right away, and that was so special. And then another thing that we have on film is like almost immediately after, we were able to FaceTime Millie, and my mom and dad were with her, with my brother and my sister-in-law. They were all together. They had just had a baby like a month before. And so just my doula said like everybody in the room was so emotional hearing me like talk to Millie and talk to my mom and be like, Mom, I did it. And she was crying, and they were like, when do you want us to come? And we talked about that before, like, when is Millie gonna come? And we both just said, come right now. Like, we wanted to see her right away, so they came like right away as soon as we had her. But yeah, that's our birth story, and we are just amazed right now. Like the jump from 3 months to 4 months old has been insane. Like she's totally not an infant anymore. She's so big. She's like much bigger than our first baby was. Thanks for listening. Although this video is really probably just for us in the future to come back and watch. So thank you, future Tahiri and Kevin, for listening. And you know,
Kevin,
great job birth partnering. Good team. Good job, doula Yaz. If you're ever thinking of a doula and you're in Bangkok, she's amazing. And thank you to Dr. Kanoknat at Bumrungrad. She was amazing too. She totally trusts me and she trusts natural birth. And if you're gonna have birth in a hospital and you are trying to have an intervention-free birth, then you should really make sure you have a doctor who trusts you. So yeah, thanks a lot. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below and I will make sure to answer them. All right, bye.